Mark Shapiro was part of something. I want to get the name right here, Wei. If you ever want to attend the Goldman Sachs Communicopia and Technology Conference.
Okay.
That sounds very, very intriguing. He spoke about a number of different subjects related to UFC and WWE, and he had this to say when it came to their strategy as it evolves with WWE and its shrinking live events.
But there's a lot of room to go in WWE because, frankly, there was no dynamic pricing tools for these events. And keep in mind, they had 300 events. What we're also doing is we're cutting events at WWE. So we're taking our low margin, marginally profitable events, untelevised events that Vince had put in place to grow the brand, right? You're taking the show on the road, and we got to go to every city we can get to grow the WWE brand. Well, the WWE brand, while we still have to grow it, it's on fire right now. So we don't need to carry these marginally profitable events. So what was 300 will be roughly 250 this year. And next year, we'll be close to 200. So that alone is going to give us margin expansion. And then, of course, the site fees. We have an entire team. All they do is, you want us to bring Raw, SmackDown, PLE, a pay-per-view to your city, to your country, Middle East, Canada, Australia, Europe, whatever it might be, you have to pay to have it there. It's no different than the success Liberty's had with F1. So a lot of opportunity. UFC's coming off a terrific site fee deal they did to go to Saudi Arabia. They also get paid to go to Abu Dhabi. And from a U.S. standpoint, when you have a fight every week, you would be surprised how many municipalities and local governments and tourism boards can open up the wallet so that you bring the show to town.
A Mark Shapiro quote, if there ever was one.
Yeah, I find him so fascinating to, I guess, have now in the wrestling space, and not just really have in the wrestling space, but he's essentially in control of the biggest wrestling company in the world, at least, making a lot of the financial decisions that are directly affecting it. And it's fascinating to me to hear somebody who is so completely divorced from like the traditions of professional wrestling. Maybe just, for all we could say about Vince, at least like I think Vince maybe saw some sort of traditional value in house shows or a traditional value in not putting logos everywhere. Mark Shapiro has none of that. He has no, I would say, nostalgia, for any of these sort of things. And all he sees is what we can make money on. How can we make this the most financially profitable venture, that it can be? And I find it fascinating, and I would say he's been very successful at it so far.
He said in the conference that, they never, let me get the wording right. They never activated the arena. They never turned the arena on to all of these. And the feedback he's gotten from fans, they don't care. They don't care about any of this. And I can't say he's wrong. There's no outrage over all of these logos and integration. And it's pretty heavy on some of these shows. The amount, especially when you're going from zero to what they're producing now, you would think on its face it would be a bit of a shock to some WWE fans, but there hasn't been. There's not a whole lot of pushback. Like they've found a great revenue source for them, and I would say on the house shows, I can make a lot of compelling reasons for and against them. But in that note, like we're talking now about how few house shows there are. I think there's 2 U.S. domestic house shows scheduled between now and the post-Christmas run of live events. 2. And next year, they're talking about slashing another 50 from what they're projected to do this year. Like house shows are going to be exceptionally few and far between. And I would think you're going to have your post-Christmas run, because those are always major arenas they can run, and a lot of European house shows in concert with a premium live event or your 2 European tours per year. But there's going to be, their idea is like scarcity, and when they do come to your town, it's a big deal. And these are just, they're not, the juice is not worth the squeeze on these events, even though this is a time when house shows are not the drag on the business that they were several years ago.
They're just marginally profitable, and I mean, not that I would ever expect like that much detail about what that exactly means, but I would be very curious, like how much does talent cost for a house show? How much does like production cost for a house show versus, revenue that you're generating that makes it not as worthwhile? Obviously, you're not getting any sort of TV rights, attached to these shows that you're putting on. You're booking the venues probably for a similar amount of money. But I'm just so curious to know like exactly kind of like what this decision is based on, and to the point where like he's almost celebrating the fact that we're going to get rid of house shows and the company's going to be that much more profitable, So what impact do you think this might have on the wrestling quality? I would say, if at all.
Well, I think there is a concern that it's not as though NXT is doing all these shows that are allowing talent to get on the road, be in front of different fans beyond just the TV every week. And I think like there is going to be that effect when so many are coming in off these NIL deals or tryouts and they're starting from scratch in a WWE system. You're going to have less house shows than ever. It's a case-by-case basis. I'm just picking two people out of here, but a Maxine greatly could use house show experience and to get out there on the road and make your mistakes in a closed setting versus national television. For somebody like Kevin Owens, does he need to be doing all of these house shows per year? No, he doesn't. And it's probably our highest paid talent are probably going to be having better lives as a result of this reduced schedule, that they're with their families, they're with their children, and the wear and tear is going to be like, if we can squeeze some more years out of these people, and it's not as uncommon now that a 45-year-old can still wrestle, that your Sheamuses, your AJ Styles are still wrestling at a very high level, and you're not shortening that time span on live events that they're nice to have. And again, I would want to mix. I wouldn't want to just completely slash them, but they're coming pretty close, at least in the US and Canada, to pretty much slashing them next year.
That sort of schedule was, I think, one of the bargaining chips that AEW had over WWE for at least a good chunk of this existing rivalry. So, I mean, does that no longer make AEW as interesting of an option for people to go towards? Yeah. How do you think they're going to maybe make up for that? Because I'm sure they're aware that, especially their younger talents are missing the reps that I think are so required for continued development, not just the NIL talents that are down in the performance centers, but a lot of the younger talents that are on the main roster. How will they fix that?
I don't think you can replicate just at scale of your roster getting in all of those reps, but I'm hopeful that a lot of these partnerships that they're working on, there's at least going to be some talent that are getting outside dates, and they're going to do house shows or other matches, but on someone else's dime. And for a Josh Briggs and a Tavion Heights, I think that's invaluable experience to go do the N1. But again, that's going to be a very select few that are going to get those experiences. I think there is going to be a shortfall, and we'll see over time if there's going to be a lag in just people being able to develop at a high rate. But then you also get people like Braun Breaker, who comes in and the guy was a prodigy from the start. And if you can get a couple of those every few years and others fall by the wayside, you're still going to be coming out ahead.
Sure. Yeah. But we're entering like a pretty interesting point in the business where like potentially every match that somebody could have in their career may be a televised broadcast. I mean, obviously not counting a lot of their practice matches, but their official matches that might be on record, they might all be televised.
Yeah. And we're getting to a point like in this generation where there's a lot of people you're seeing almost their first matches to date, like for a lot of them, at least in WWE. And it is a question for both WWE and AEW is talent that you want to be able to get that experience, but at the same time, it's the concern of getting injured elsewhere and not having that control that these companies are so used to having over their talents, and kind of entrusting that in outside promotions as well.
If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.